What's up, lore masters? If you have been with the series a while, you know that I have purposefully avoided everything that was connected with the prophets and religion in regards to the Dominion War. All of that was to wait for this video. The fact is, I heard a theory a while back that does make quite a lot of sense. What if this entire thing, the Dominion War, the pain and the loss, was really just a proxy conflict wherein the prophets fought with the Pah-wraiths? It's not as crazy as it sounds. Let's break it down. We know that the wormhole was constructed. It's not natural. We don't get a ton of information on how it was constructed, but here's a question. It was made connecting Bajor to the Gamma Quadrant, right next to the Dominion. Space is vast. It's more likely than not that you're not going to hit anything. But somehow, the construction of this wormhole has it right next to one species, a species that can't defend itself, and a mega empire. That's odd. And then, looking at the prophets, we know they don't deal with linear time. They don't enjoy point A to point B. For them, somehow, everything happens all at once, or they can pick and choose where they are. We know that the prophets decide to create their own avatar, a human. They infest a woman, force her to have sex with a man, probably multiple times, breed her, force her to pretend like everything is great and she wants this, and that she's in love with someone that she's probably not, forces her to conceive the baby that was forced inside of her, doesn't allow her to tell anyone else, doesn't allow her to go to the cops or report it to Starfleet, but does allow her to leave ultimately, and all of it so that Benjamin Sisko can be born. They then allow Sisko to go through his life, fall in love, go up against the Borg, and end up at Deep Space Nine a single father so they can use him for their own purposes. And while all this is happening, they allow Bajor to go through tremendous amounts of pain and suffering that they could have arguably stopped. Remember, the prophets have the ability to manipulate people. They can change them. We see this with the Nagus. So why not slowly do this to the Cardassians? It's a risk, but I feel confident that they could have figured a way to get a few high-up Cardassians and change them for their own ends. And this could have helped the Cardassian people, who knows? However, instead of doing anything that could have helped the people that they care about, they just stood back and watched as murder and slavery occurred. They let it happen. And the real reason is, if they had stopped it, Starfleet might not have stepped in and they never would have had Sisko. When the Dominion presents themselves, again the prophets can see the uses of the totalitarian state. Due to the Dominion, Starfleet would try to shut down the wormhole. However, all that would result in is the fact that the Dominion sabotage Starfleet, ensuring that the wormhole can never be shut down, effectively leaving the wormhole there forever. And then you have Kai Winn. The prophets purposefully go out of their way to ignore her, to ensure that she is always distant from them. They never reach out to her. It's well within their power, but she never hears a thing. And then, thanks to her, she would ensure that the Pah-wraiths infest Dukat so that the battle between Dukat and Sisko can occur. In fact, when you look at it, when do the prophets take an active interest in the Dominion War? They do it only A, when it saves Sisko, and B, when it causes a psychotic break in Dukat. By saving the Alpha Quadrant and getting rid of the fleet, they ensured that Dukat would go mad with anger and remorse and set him up to be a puppet of the Pah-wraiths. They made sure that someone who had nothing to do with their fight would suffer eternally so they could win. It could not have been more perfectly played. If there was no Dominion War, there would have been no defeat of the Pah-wraiths. This also brings up another curious question. Why didn't the Dominion try to kill the prophets, either on the Alpha or Gamma Quadrant? We know it's possible to do, and with the wormhole now a permanent fixture, it would be plausible to kill them and still keep the passage. Did the prophets make some side deal with the Dominion, promising to defend the Gamma Quadrant, but to allow the Alpha Quadrant affairs to occur? Could explain why the prophets allowed the Dominion to return after they were defeated to the Gamma Quadrant, even though they weren't a part of the affairs of the ceasefire. In fact, we don't ever really see any attempts to take down the prophets until Dukat goes rogue and the Pah-wraiths assault the wormhole. And at the end of the day, who did the Dominion War help? Certainly Starfleet was the strongest at the end of the day, but this was at the cost of tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands to more lives. Every other government was crippled, possibly fatally. Well, every major government, not including the Gamma Quadrant. The prophets, though, they destroyed the Pah-wraiths and now never have to worry about that again. And they got a pet human. Not a bad bargain, if you ask me.